A punk pushed away the beggar's broken car. They scolded this let her hurry up and get out, but they did not notice the beggar's hands have a dagger and fist buckle. Her name is Jenny. 5 years ago, she was just an ordinary middle-aged woman. It was her daughter's birthday that night. Jenny decided to go to the playground as a family to have a party. Her daughter was all smiles as she ate her favorite mint-flavored ice cream. It was supposed to be the happiest moment of their family, but then two assault rifles came out of a black car. With a burst of fire, the husband and daughter fell in a pool of blood one after another. Jenny went back to get tissue paper to escape. She witnessed the death of her family. The assailants then turned their guns and shot her. Jenny was also hit by a grenade and fell to the ground with serious injuries. When the police arrived, she was taken to the hospital in a coma. It was a month later when she opened her eyes again. Well, the police officers in charge of the investigation told her her family was in trouble because of her husband. It turns out that her husband's friend was planning a robbery. His target was drug lord Jack's vault. Due to the lack of manpower, the friend tried to persuade her husband to be his driver. But before they could start their operation, it was already exposed. The friend was killed by Jack, although her husband had already called to quit. But in order to clear the obstacles, Jack still decided to kill him. Jenny came to the police station after recovering from the hospital. She recognized the three shooters on that day with her memories. She hoped that the law would bring the killers to justice and bring justice to her family. When she returned home, Jenny could not get over the grief of losing her family. She looked at her daughter's painting and wept. One day a man dressed formally walked into her house. As soon as he came in, he told Jenny, "Even if you succeed in your testimony this time, your family won't come back to life, but you have to go on with your life. Why don't you take this money and start over?" It turns out he's a lawyer for the gangsters. They want to use the money to settle the case. When she heard that, Jenny was furious. She scolded the lawyer out, but then the lawyer found the psychotropic drugs on Jenny's desk. On the day of the trial, he used this point to attack Jenny repeatedly. Jenny was in a passive position. What's even more annoying is that the judge is completely in favor of the jerks. The prosecutor who filed the lawsuit was just an ornament in the courtroom. The lawyer was allowed to distort the facts. He used Jenny's head injury and psychotropic drug use as reasons to refute Jenny's allegations as not credible. The judge therefore ruled that there was insufficient evidence. The three gangsters were released in court. Jenny was confused. Is this still a trial? She couldn't contain her anger anymore. She roared and rushed to the defendant's stand, but she was pulled by the police and fell to the ground. Then she was sent to a mental hospital as a mental patient. Faced with the harsh reality, she was completely desperate. She grabbed the oxygen bottle beside her and knocked down the police. Then she jumped out of the ambulance and fled. Then a crazy plan came to her mind. Since the law could not do justice, she would take revenge herself. A hammer and steel nails were placed in front of the hammer, a symbol of justice and fairness. The judge sitting across from her had also been tied up. The judge did not hesitate to release the murder of her husband and daughter from court because of greed. Since the hand that holds the hammer of justice is meaningless, then just make him disappear. She fixed the judge's hands and then placed a remote bomb on the table. After 5 years of seclusion and hibernation, Jenny had already developed her skills. She packed all kinds of weapons and equipment. She looked at the photos of her family and prepared for her next act of revenge. You don't remember me, do you? The next day there was a bizarre murder on the playground. 3 men were killed. They were hanging upside down from a Ferris wheel. They were the same punks who killed Jenny's family 5 years ago. But Jenny's actions soon caught the attention of the FBI. Over the past 5 years, Jenny has moved from country to country. She has been through many trials and tribulations. 3 months ago, she returned to Los Angeles and robbed an arms store. She took not ordinary guns, but special operations firearms and equipment. The policewoman deduced that the 2 murders were just the beginning of her revenge. At the same time, the police received information. In addition to the judge, the lawyer and the district attorney who defended the gangsters died in their homes. The police felt that the situation had gotten out of hand. They immediately put out an APB on Jenny. She cleared everyone else out. Jenny had her eye on drug lord Jack's secret vault. She came to the back door posing as a beggar. Then she managed to sneak in. She sneaks up to the 2nd floor with a gun, but is accidentally discovered by the gangsters inside. She knocked off the door handle and locked all the enemies in the room. Then she turns around and shoots and kills the gangsters outside. Then she leaps from the window. She used the shelves as a cover, to eliminate the gangsters who came to support her. The scene frightened another man to shoot indiscriminately. Just as he was changing bullets, Jenny jumped over and shot him dead. She takes out her men downstairs and then goes to Jack's office. She caught their accountant and found out about their drug factory. Jack orders her to be killed as soon as he learns that the money stash has been destroyed. He waited for Jenny to arrive. He predicted that Jenny would come to his factory, so he set up a bomb in advance. Jenny appeared in the darkness. She vaguely saw a thin line under her feet and realized she had been ambushed. She runs outside to escape through the sewers. The gangsters outside saw Jenny running and pressed the switch to blow up the factory. They thought Jenny was dead and reported to Jack, but Jenny, who had come back from the dead, was already driving on their way back. She followed behind the car. Jenny sneaked into Jack's villa. She first hid in the corner and shot and killed the punks, waiting for the other gangsters to discover the situation. She was firing at the moving car. Sister Jane suddenly appeared behind the car again. She finished all the gangsters and stood in front of Jack. She wanted to torture him, but at that moment, Jack's daughter came up to her. Jenny frowned when she saw the little girl. It was as if she had seen her own daughter while she was in a trance. Jack stabbed Jenny with a hammer. Then he escaped from the room with his daughter. At that moment, the siren sounded. The wounded Jenny had to evacuate in order to stop Jenny from continuing to kill. The police used the big data monitoring system. They soon discovered an anomaly. The crime rate in this neighborhood, which is supposed to have a high crime rate, but now the crime rate is almost zero. The policewoman went to the slum to investigate. As she talked to the residents, she understood everything. It was Jenny's presence that was causing the crime rate to drop so quickly. As they expected, she and Will found Jenny's van and found a large amount of ammunition in her compartment. The policewoman suggested monitoring the area immediately. Wait for Jenny to return and make an immediate arrest. But she didn't expect Will behind her to suddenly shoot her. It turns out that he had already been bribed. Will called Jack to report Jenny's hiding place. Meanwhile, Jenny returned to the slum with her wounded body, waiting for her wound to be dressed. Jack was already here. They started a fight again, but there were too many of them. She couldn't fight them head on. Jenny used her cell phone to send the live footage to the TV station. She exposed Jack's collusion with the police. The police soon learned the news. They sent out a large team to carry out a full-scale siege. Jack even used the ghetto kids as blackmail to force Jenny to appear. Jenny had to come out to save the child first. In order to stall for time, she deliberately provoked Jack. Jenny was badly hurt, but luckily the police arrived in time. The scene was in chaos. Jack thought Will had betrayed him. He killed Will. In the chaos, Jenny intercepted Jack, who was running for his life. The police also surrounded them. The sheriff told Jenny to drop her weapon and told Jack to face the law. But Jenny no longer believes in the so-called law. She pulled the trigger with determination. It's a good thing Jenny was wearing a bulletproof vest, or she would have been killed by the police. Jenny was arrested. The police chief then announced to the public that Jenny would be tried for multiple homicides. Their announcement drew boos from the crowd. In the hospital, the sheriff escorted the guards at the entrance. Then he walked into the hospital room and held Jenny's hand tightly. He said, "You should take care of yourself." After that, he turned around and left. Jenny was confused. She opened her hand and realized the sheriff had left a key to freedom in her hand.